learned a lot about relationships doing the Newlywed Game. And USA Today, Time, Newsweek have all published articles about how technical skills are moving forward so rapidly that there's a danger that we're going to lose our people skills. And we have to be very careful with that, because we're sending emails to the cubicle next to us. We're not walking into anybody's office and saying, hey, I got an idea. Really? You got an idea? What is it? Well, what do you think about this? Oh, that's a good idea. We're not doing that anymore. We have got to be careful, because I'll tell you something, and you can write it down. People skills will always supersede technical skills, period. Let me tell you how I know that. I started off in radio at a little bitty radio station in Oxnard, California, 250 watts. 200 watts went to the ocean, 50 watts went to the Japanese cemetery next door. I mean, nobody was listening to me out there. In fact, one time I had a contest. I gave away 2 albums because I thought rock and roll disc jockeys are supposed to have album giveaway contests. So it's the middle of the night. I'm working midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning for $320 a month. And I said, I'll give these albums to the first person that calls. And nobody called. So I made up a name and I took the albums home. In fact, I'll give you a little backstage story, if I can, about a small-time radio. In 1959, when I was working at this little bitty station, actually it was in Port Hueneme. Maybe some of you guys have been out in that area, I don't know. But, excuse you, somebody burped. Anyway, in 1959, all rock and roll rock and roll records were 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. Now, if you're working out in the middle of an orange grove by yourself, doing the music and the news and the whole thing, there's a whole lot of things, folks, you can't do in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Until Marty Robbins released a song called El Paso. You remember El Paso? Oh, disc jockey's dream. 4 minutes, 39 seconds long. Let me set the scenario for you if I can. Right before the news, you put on Marty Robbins. You run out there to the news machine, you grab the news, you run into the bathroom, you sit down, you rehearse the news. You're welcome. But you keep one ear cocked, because Marty Robbins' record of El Paso never repeated itself. It told a story. Now, in the record it says, off to my right rode 5 mounted cowboys, and off to my left rode a dozen or more. Something is dreadfully wrong, for I feel a deep burning pain in my side. When he got a deep burning pain in his side, it was time for you to take care of your things and get back in and do the news. So I figure Marty Robbins' record of El Paso was not #1 because it was such a great song. It was because more disc jockeys got to go to the bathroom than any song in the history of America. Anyway, I ended up at the #1 radio station in Los Angeles. And folks, I was a lousy disc jockey. I'm going to admit it to you. I was terrible. But my people skills took over. And that's what I mean about people skills and technical skills. I was there with some of the biggest disc jockeys in America. Casey Kasem, Detroit. Wink Martindale, Memphis, Tennessee. Dick Biondi, WLS, Chicago, owned the Midwest. Charlie O'Donnell, Philadelphia. Bob Eubanks, Oxnard, California. I didn't know what I was doing. But I took my people skills. I became a team player. I asked questions, I learned, I volunteered for things. I did whatever I could do to make myself important at that radio station until I could build up my technical skills. So I used my people skills until I could build up my technical skills. And the same thing happened when I was hired to do the Newlywed Game. I had never seen a game show in my life when they hired me to do the Newlywed Game. In fact, I'm standing in my dressing room at ABC 30 seconds before I'm supposed to walk out on stage to do the first show. Now remember, I'm still in radio. There's a knock on the door. I open the door and immediately my mind flashes. ABC executive's here to say, good luck, Bob. And I said, hello? And the guy says, Bob? I said, yes. He says, you're hereby ordered to appear before the United States Government Anti-Payola Committee on September 16, 1966, and you damn sure better be there. Holy cow. This is 30 seconds before I'm supposed to walk out on the stage. Now, it turned out it was a bogus subpoena. It was canceled. I hadn't done anything wrong. But I was scared to death when I walked out there. I had no technical skills. I'd never hosted a game show in my life. In fact, at the end of the first show, Chuck Barris, remember Chuck Barris of The Gong Show? He was the executive producer of the Newlywed Game. And he came to me after the first show and he said, you have just done something I've never seen anybody do. I said, what? He said, you went a half hour without blinking. So on the second show, I had to write myself a note, and I put it right there on the podium. We'll be back with more of the Newlywed Game right after these words. But he gave me some advice after the first day of shooting that I'll never forget. He said, if I were you, he says, first of all, you're not the best game show host that ever came down the pike. And he said, but I do think you have potential. He said, if I were you, I would make sure that the people around you are really on your team rooting for you. And that was really good advice, because I have come to the conclusion in life that if we make the other person feel important, if we make the other person feel special, we will get so much from them. And I did that. I went to the cameraman. I said, look, you make me look good, we're all going to be better off. The audio man. I went to the question writers, the producers. I formed a team around me. And basically what I did, I used my people skills until I could develop my technical skills to do the show. And I did the show for 4 decades. It took me a couple of years to figure out how to do the show, but I finally got it down after a while. Not too bright sometimes. But I had such a great time, but I developed that team around me. And the same thing happens in our personal life, too. Ladies, you probably know this, but maybe we guys don't. Ladies, you are married to the biggest babies in the world. Amen. Listen to him. In fact, I saw something the other day I thought was kind of funny. Had there been 3 wise women in the Bible rather than 3 wise men, do you know what would have happened? They'd have got there on time. They'd have helped deliver the baby. They'd have cleaned the manger. They'd have made a casserole. They'd have brought gifts that were practical, and there would be peace on earth.